People, we're back in Portsmouth, and this week we've got Ian Hurst of Are Hummingbird.
We see mental health as being negative. We see well-being as being good. They're the same word. As a human being, we will attach emotion to all negative, no matter how big or how small. We will only attach emotion to good things if we deem it big enough. It has to generally be family, friends, big events, situations, purchases. And what no one will ever do is tell me that morning they hugged their kids goodbye, that they kissed their partner, that they listened to a good song on the radio, that they had an amazing cup of coffee. So everyone knows how a bank account works. Everyone's like, I need money to go and buy things. When I haven't got money, it's really hard to pay for things. When you've got money, you're buying lunch at M&S Food Court, right? Life's different. You're going out, you're socialising. Well, essentially, every single human being has a mental health bank account. The things you attach a negative emotion to, that's money leaving your bank. And the things you attach positive emotion to, that's money coming in your bank. And the problem is, the way that most human beings are wired is that we spend more than we put in.
Ian.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to the What's Going On show, mate.
Thank you for having me. It's good.
Yeah, man. I'm excited for this one. I really am.
Hopefully, yeah, be a good one for you.
Nah, well, cool. Welcome to the What's Going On show, the show where we shine a light on people doing things in communities.
Yep.
And you yourself are doing something in the mental health space.
Yeah.
And we're going to go a bit into that today.
Yeah.
But little tradition I got on the show is before we give you an introduction, I'd like to just give it straight over to you. So, who in a nutshell is Ian Hurst?
Oh man, who is Ian Hurst? Ian Hurst. I am an individual who is hugely passionate about people understanding what mental health is, about understanding this part of being a human being that people don't really learn about. We're so good at learning about physical health and recognising physical symptoms and signals. And I really want to try and help people uncover all the ways in which your mind is talking to you so that you can be as switched on about mental health as physical health. Not what you see on TV, not when there's problems, reality. So yeah, that's Ian Hurst.
Interesting. So you said there you want to help people know what mental health really is.
Yeah.
So in your opinion, what is mental health?
Oh, easy. It's how you think, it's how you feel, it's how you behave. And it dictates every single aspect of your life. And this is the thing, we're in a society at the moment where mental health, if you say someone mental health, they think of problems, struggle, suffer, illness, need support, need help. We see mental health as being negative. Mm-hmm. We see well-being as being good. They're the same word. Well-being was a word created because people didn't understand mental health. So if I said to you, give me words to describe well-being, whatever you said, that also describes mental health. And this is where we've lost sight. There is no difference here. So well-being, people be like energy, exercise, sense of self, sense of belonging. They're all words for mental health. So essentially mental health is, and there's loads of different ways that I try and explain this, but it's how you think. So what people wear every day, what you're wearing today, how many cups of coffee you've had, what songs you listen to, who you've said hello to, who you've avoided, all of these decisions are dictated by your mental health. And people never think about it. We kind of bumble through life and only reflect on it when it's gone wrong. Mm-hmm. That's a tiny part of mental health. So yeah, it's about helping people understand this, and we can go really deep into it. But yeah, it's how you think, how you feel, and that will contribute how you behave. Easy as that.
Yes, easy as that. Yeah.
Easy peasy.
So, why do you think people bumble through life and never actually focus on or think about their mental health?
So, we're not taught about it. We're not taught to understand. So very much the area I work in is education. I have been a non-profit in the past, and a couple of years ago made a very conscious decision to move away from being a non-profit organisation to essentially, if we're going to strip it all back, being an education. So we're not taught about what mental health is. It's something that we aren't given the tools to fully understand. And it's the kind of thing we only ever hear about when it goes wrong. So, of course, people don't think about it until it goes wrong. And there's loads of different ways that I try and explain this. I talk to people a lot about something called cashing in. So anyone I ever train, anyone I ever teach, since I started doing this, I always talk to them about this thing called cashing in. And I guess probably worth going through it now. Whenever I do a session, I'll say to people, right, give me something good that's happened in the last 7 days. Tell me something good from the last 7 days. And people go, oh man, oh God. And then they might say, I went for dinner with my partner. I did something like the weekend with my kids. I've just got paid. I booked a holiday. You go, okay, lovely. And I write them up on a board. And the interesting thing is, I then say, well, why did I ask you for something good in the last 7 days? And when you ask someone that question, what happens is, in a split second, their eyes will flick to the top right. Okay, so our eyes go to the top right. This is why sometimes you really see people holding it like, oh, something good. The reason why we're going up there is this is where we store our visual memories in our brain. So essentially, give me something good in the last 7 days. You go into your filing cabinet. You go through your filing cabinet. And you go, there you go, Ian. There's my good thing. Okay? If I ask you for something negative in the last 7 days, your eyes will still flick up there, but you'd be able to recall something much, much quicker. Getting stuck in traffic, being late, a text message of someone. Now, what's really key from this is all to do with how the human brain is wired. As a human being, we will attach emotions that are all negative, no matter how big or how small. We will only attach emotion to good things if we deem it big enough. So for a human being to attach emotion, it has to generally involve family, friends, big events, situations, purchases. And when I go around a room and I say to people, give me something good in the last 7 days, every single person will tell me something that involves family, friends, events, situations, and purchases. And what no one will ever do is tell me that morning they hugged their kids goodbye, that they kissed their partner, that they listened to a good song on the radio, that they had an amazing cup of coffee, that they met a new person, that they went through all the green lights going into work. Because our brain doesn't attach emotion to it. And this is a real fundamental thing about being a human being. We attach emotion to different things. So then what I'd say to people is, I want you to imagine your bank account. Think about your bank, because we're taught about money as kids. This is how society's got it all wrong. We teach kids about money, about certain things. So everyone knows how a bank account works. Everyone's like, I need money to go and buy things. When I haven't got money, it's really hard to pay for things. When I haven't got money, I can't go out with my mates, I can't go socialising, I've got no money. When you've got money, you're buying lunch at M&S Food Court, right? Life's different. You're going out, you're socialising. Well, essentially, every single human being has a mental health bank account. They've had it since the day they were born. And this is the problem, because we're not taught about it. We don't know it, we don't pay attention. And this human bank account that we've had is being made up of billions of transactions, depending on how old you are. The things you attach a negative emotion to, that's money leaving your bank. And the things you attach positive emotion to, that's money coming in your bank. And the problem is, the way that most human beings are wired is that we spend more than we put in. So most people, if you think about it like a bank, are in debt. And this is the problem when you're talking about education, because as we go through life, you still got to pay for things. And what happens is, if you're attaching more emotion to negative and positive, when these things come along, you find them harder to pay for. You find them more tricky. And that's when you start to see someone's mental health really, really decline, because they're getting further and further into debt. So it's all about explaining to people, the reason why we tend to only talk about mental health is because when we're spending money, who thinks about it? And it's kind of like saying to people, imagine being given a bank card when you're a kid. You know, we used to get pocket money, but now it's bank cards. Right? There's a bank card, and they say to you, right, anything you ever buy, use that card. So, you know, you go off to the shop and you buy sweets, and then you buy a bike, and then you buy like some clothes and some records, and think of every penny you've ever spent, and it's all gone on this card. Never gets declined, just goes through. And you don't know who's putting money on it, but you're spending and you're spending and you're spending and you're spending. And then one day when you hit about 30, someone goes, how do you want to pay? And that's how I see most people's perception of mental health, because we're not taught about the value of it, about what it is. We spend and we spend and we spend until it gets to the point where we've run out of money. And this is when you then start to see people experience poor mental health and find themselves in situations, and that of course is then when it becomes vocalized. So that's a big take on how I see mental health, how I try and teach people about this, about visualizing what it is. And it's not just when things go wrong. You know, this here right now is putting cash in my bank. This is mental health. This is a fundamental part of being a human being. So, yeah.
That's a really interesting analogy or interesting way to conceptualize it. I've never heard that.
It's something I thought of about in 2017, and like I said, I run with it. And there's different variations, of course. There's different ways of looking at it, and people will talk. But the principle I call it is cashing in. And the reason why I call it cashing in is what I've learned to do is whenever something feels good, whenever something makes me happy, whenever I recognise something being joyful, I say to myself, cash in. What it does is it forces your brain to attach emotion. So you don't need to write it down, you don't need to add it up, but those moments that would normally just pass over a human being because we don't deem them big enough to attach emotion, if you say something to yourself, a trigger word, it forces your brain to acknowledge what happened. And what that does is like putting pennies into your bank and you build it all up. And it's happened loads. When I went to put the bin outside and you were sat in the car and I saw you, I cashed in. It sounds really small, but I was like, they're here. Cash in the bank. When my dog came over and said hello to you, I cash in. They're tiny little moments that would be missed, but they're nice moments. I can hear her snoring in the background, right? And it's these little moments in life that we don't pay any attention to, but they are so vital, because if it was negative, if it was 10:30 and you weren't there, I'd recognise that. Where are you? What's going on? So it's about just getting that flip side of things as well. Pennies look after the pounds.
Pennies look after
Yeah, and that's it. With your mental health bank account, you've got to manage it. You've got to see it. Yeah.
I understand. So you said there, 2017.
Yeah.
That was the year you thought of this way of thinking. You thought of this concept back then. But what triggered you to think that way? What triggered you to start this?
So, this wasn't my plan at all. So, I'm from Portsmouth, naval kind of background. All my mates are in the Navy, parents are in the Navy, and I guess to give a bit more growing up, I had a lovely childhood, social, active friends. I wasn't an outcast. There was no abuse, no neglect, and really, I was a typical boy. Right? And a young man went off to college, and girls come into your life, and cars and alcohol and going on holiday with your mates, and there was nothing that made me any different to any of my peers. And when we left college, all of my friends joined the forces. All of them did, and for me, I didn't wish to do that, because I'd kind of formed a belief being a kid that I wanted loads of money. And people talk loads now about social media, and I had a chat with a university student last night about this, and the power of social media. But before social media was that, it was that, and I grew up reading these magazines, these FHMs, Loaded, Max Power, GQ, and it would tell me that if you wanted to be happy in life, you needed money. We kind of spoke about this. Money is happy, because all these magazines had a man in a suit and a briefcase and expensive aftershaves and cars, and you want to be happy, be rich. So when all my mates joined the Navy, I wanted to get a job as quick as I could. I wanted to go out, and I ended up getting working in insurance. So I had a couple of other, I sold cars for a bit, I sold houses for a bit. But essentially, I fell into insurance, where I spent about 16 years working for an insurance company. And I chased money. I chased money hard. Like you sometimes hear about addicts talking about a hole in their soul, so this need to fill this void. And I definitely didn't have an addiction to alcohol and money, but I was alcohol or drugs. But I was addicted to money, so everything was like, I need more money. I need a bigger pay rise. I need the next job. I need the next thing, because that will make me feel happy. That will make me feel content. And so life was just focused on work, and how can I get the next promotion, and how can I do the next thing. And I had two children when I was 27 and 29. amazing daughters, and I was offered a job to work in London. And it was this kind of, do I want to commute to London every day? But in my head it was like, that's where the money's at. You go to London, this is it. You'll be driving Porsches in no time. And it was like, okay, let's do it. So with a young family and I'm making these decisions, it was like, okay, let's do it. So I spent 5 years working in London, and this is where I started to become really aware of how ill I was becoming. So I started to live in my own head. So I'd leave my house at like 5:30 and I'd put my AirPods in, and solitude would then begin. And I'd go to the train station, I'd get to the station, and there'd be people that I work with, and you could nod. But they'd all be together, and I'd separate myself out, and I'd get on the train. And then, for example, when they'd get off, they'd all go to the office together, and I'd go a different route. And I needed this solitude in my head, and it became really, really hard to engage with people, to talk with people. I'd make up excuses why I couldn't go to meetings or out for lunch with people because I didn't want to have conversations. I just wanted to live in my own head, because in my own head it was calm and quiet. I'd have rituals, so I had to sit in the same train seat every day, which is near on impossible on a commute to London. But if I saw the train and it was someone else was sat in it, it'd blow my whole day. My day would be done. So, and when I was going through all of these, and this is quite minimal, there was many other things going on. I thought every person on the planet felt this way. I thought it was what being an adult was. I thought it was what being human was, that this sense of isolation, this sense of unhappiness was just normal. So I just didn't do anything. I just kept going, kept plodding, kept working for it. Still trying to maintain levels of socialising or going partying with my friends or going out. I'm really starting to feel like it just wasn't what I wanted. And I was really quite ill. Really, when I look back now, I was poorly. And then in 2016, 16th of January 2016, literally to the day, my work said, we're doing these mental health courses, do you want to go? And I was kind of torn, because on one hand, I think by that point I was really desperate for anything, like anything that could possibly change how I was feeling. But at the same time, I didn't have a clue what mental health was. So it was this kind of, whatever, but I don't think this is what it is. And I went to this session, and this man started talking about mental health. It just blew my mind. In the same way that I think most people don't understand that mental health is how you think, feel and behave. When this man started talking about it, I was like, it was like the Matrix, like these puzzle pieces started going, and it all started slotting in. And I was like, oh my God, I remember when I was 12, I'd do exactly that. Like, I'd push my mates away and I'd sit in a room and I'd like be on my own and I wouldn't see them for months. And that's why I did that. And then this would come in, and you start to learn about all these things. And I always talk about when we get hungry, we get a little pang in our chest. Oh, I'm hungry. Mm-hmm. And being a human, you learn that when that pang's there, it's your brain saying, you need to eat something. And human beings are really, really good at connecting signals. Oh, my elbow hurts. Oh, my head hurts. But we never consider that our body and our mind's constantly talking to us about our mental health. Mm. And this guy was explaining what we're doing with stress and all these elements. And I remember sitting there thinking, I was really angry that society had allowed me to get to my early 30s and hadn't thought it was important to talk to us about it. I was like, how are we not teaching people about this? How are we not educating people on what is the biggest thing in being a human being? So I was really kind of, this can't go on. And so I left. Literally was like, I'm done. I'm out. I was so angry with the lack of education around it. Something's got to be done. So I asked work if they'd make me redundant. Literally was like, I want to be redundant. What? I was like, because in insurance there's always redundancies.
Okay.
And I was like, can I just take redundancy? And they were like, okay. So I got given redundancy, and I gave all of it to my mum. I said, right. I didn't pay off debts or anything. I gave all my money to my mum. I said, I want you to pay my salary out of my redundancy every month. And when that runs out, if I haven't been able to make a difference, then I'll have to go back to work. So, I did that. And straight away I just started re-educating. I started just this passion, this drive to... I thought it'd be really easy. I was like, oh, every insurance company will want to have someone like me come in who's worked in insurance and that. So I went and started re-educating myself, started studying, started sitting exams, started trying to find out more and more and more. And as I was doing this, it was always driven by this one thing of, I'd learn and I'd be like, how do I now explain that to me? Because I think one of the biggest issues around mental health, certainly when I got into it, was very... I never found my tribe, if that's the right word. So I didn't relate to Mind or to Samaritans, both of which hugely amazing organisations that I now work with in certain areas. But at that point, because they didn't talk my language, I was like, they're not my people. So like I just explained the bank balance, everything I learned was like, all right, how do I bring this to life? So when I teach people, I talk about robots and washing machines and underpants, because if you can see it, then you can attach emotion to it. And so that was how it all started. It was just this anger and this desire. Back in 2016, I did the course, left, restudied, and then pretty much 2017 was when this started becoming a real deal. And then We Are Hummingbirds, a whole other different story. That's my personal one. That's that. But yeah, it's mad, and I love what I do. I'm never going to be rich. I'm never going to drive a Porsche or Ferrari, but I'm richer now in life than I ever would have been in anything. And this is the other thing, when you learn about mental health, I think this is certainly a thing for men. And I'm very, very conscious that I don't differentiate between men and women. I think there's so much talk around men's mental health, which is wonderful, but I've got two amazing daughters. I've got a beautiful mum. I've got a beautiful girlfriend. I've got a beautiful ex-wife. I've got beautiful people in my life, women that mean a lot to me. Women deserve just as much talk as men. And so I really try and not differentiate between men and women. Mental health is mental health. It applies to everyone. It doesn't kind of discriminate in that sense. So it was a mad old experience.
It's a life-changing experience, isn't it?
Huge.
And some people never actually leave that job.
Nope.
Wow. So, I mean, here's a question for you. So you started in 2017.
Yeah.
And then obviously it was to connect with yourself. It was to find your why.
Yeah.
In a way. But did you ever think, I'm going to go back? Or did you ever think...
To insurance?
Yeah.
No. And so we sit here now, and what people don't see, and I think this is always really important to say, is what people don't see is me not sleeping, me at 4:30 in the morning walking around the streets because I can't sleep, because I'm worried about how this works, how I pay bills, how I provide for my children. You know, it's all well and good to sit and do these now when things are okay, but people don't see the struggles. And what I had more than anything was people saying, when are you going to get a job again? And that was fuel. Because in here, literally the day I left, I was like, this is what I do. This is what I do. There is no alternative. There's no going back. There's no, that is never happening. And so many people were like, yeah, but when are you going to go and get a job? I was like, this is my job. This is what I do. And there's never been anything in my life that I've been more clear on. And what's interesting, when we spoke earlier, is I kind of said, I'm almost at a point now where I appreciate I probably won't do this forever. And that really excites me. That really, really excites me. This new way of kind of just rolling into what's right at that time. And
ebbing and flowing.
Yeah, absolutely. It is.
Yeah.
So,
Well, no, I love that as well. I love that certainty that you know who you are and where you're going, if you know what I mean. I love that.
Yeah.
That's really fascinating. So, when you came out, you started retraining. You did all these exams.
Yeah.
You said We Are Hummingbird is its own thing, your own thing.
Yeah.
We're chocolate, but like, how did it become that, and what is that?
Yeah, let's because this is always a really hard thing. This is why we need to do whole interviews, because we had these two beautiful things happening simultaneously, and it's really important to explain them. So, whilst I was down here on the south coast going through my own turmoils, We Are Hummingbird originated in Chorley. So there, in amongst all my little jobs doing things, I met this amazing guy called John Logue. We had a short stint working for an alcohol company, he and I, and we met and we just formed and connected. Now up in Chorley, John was really good friends. So there's a few of them: John, Carl, and Ben, and a guy called Matt, and this group of individuals. And what I should also say is they're super talented musicians, all of them in their own right. And Matt, we'll call him Matt, was a very, very talented recording artist. And Matt too, whilst I was going through my things down here on the south, Matt sadly was going through his things up in the north, and Matt sadly died by suicide. And he too couldn't find his tribe. He too couldn't find what he needed in his world. And the fallout from Matt's suicide rocked everyone, as you can imagine. And John and Carl's into design, and John's a marketeer by trade. They were kind of like, well, what do we do? What do we, like the anger, the frustration, the sadness, the everything that goes with the death of suicide. And they toyed around with doing a festival with bits here, bits there. And what they landed on was creating a Spotify playlist. And not just anyone, but what they wanted to do was, and this is how all the most beautiful things kind of start. It was so breadcrumby. It was unbelievable. They were like, right, what we'll do is we know a few people in the world of music. We'll go to those people and we'll say, look, will you do us a playlist? 12 tracks. And the 12 tracks are a nod to the number of male suicides in the United Kingdom every day. We do us 12 tracks. We do us a bit of blurb about what these tracks mean to you and a photo. And then every Friday, we would release a playlist on Spotify. And that was their idea. I was like, okay, we're going to release the playlist. And a real simple aim was, if you want to know what Frank Turner, you type Frank Turner into Spotify, it will show you all of his stuff, including any playlists that he's made. And people might go, oh, okay, what's this? Frank Turner, that's interesting. And it was really based upon just maybe one person in a million seeing that playlist, needing to get some mental health support. And originally it was linked to NHS up in Merseyside. And it was like the chances of it happening was so minimal, but it was like, if someone could just see that and go, oh, what's this? And follow that breadcrumb and it connects them, then that's amazing. And Matt was, as well as doing his recording stuff, he did solo music. And all of his solo music was under the name Hummingbird. And the hummingbird, which is our logo, the one we all have tattooed on our bodies, he drew. A hummingbird's a hummingbird, but he drew this. And so John and Carl spoke to his family and kind of said, can we use it? Can we keep it going? Can we keep what Matt did with Hummingbird? And the family said, absolutely, go for it. And the we are is the most important part, because the we are is the community. The we are, sometimes people call us just Hummingbird, and I'm like, I'd rather you call us just we are, right? Because the we are is the connection that brings people together. So We Are Hummingbird was born out of Matt's death. And so for many years, it was literally just this Spotify. And that's where I came in. John and Carl obviously were friends of mine, and they were like, we're doing this really cool thing with Hummingbird. And We Are Hummingbird, and they started showing me some bits, but of course I had my own stuff going on down there, and they kind of were just plugging out a playlist every week. And in 2017, when I was like, I'm coming out, I remember sitting there thinking, well, what am I going to call myself? Ian Hurst Trading. And I remember thinking, oh, I've got an idea. I wonder if I can be part of We Are Hummingbird. And I always laugh. I remember going to John. I was like, met him in a pub in London, and we also met with a guy called James Scroggs, who's one of the leading figures for Calm. The campaign against it. Yeah, Scroggs is a great guy, a great friend of ours as well, James Scroggs. Wears the most amazing hats. So James Scroggs, and we met, and then John and I went to a pub, and I said, John, look, I've got this proposition. Can I join We Are Hummingbird? And can instead of this thing where we're just the players, can we start to flesh it out, and we'll do training courses and we'll do stuff? And he was like, let me talk to the team. And I was like, okay. The team is him. I was like, hey, what was it? But I was really like, oh, he's going to have a meeting with the team. And then that's how we collided. And so I basically went on gardening leave, and just before Christmas, and I sat on a sofa and I put on a Christmas movie, and I thought, right, let's chill out. And I thought, I just set up a limited company. And I did that. And then we haven't stopped since. Didn't chill out. And so then as we are Hummingbirds, as my education in this area has got bigger, as we've studied more, so there's lots of things we do. I specialise in suicide prevention, and I studied in psychotherapy. And the more we started to do that, what we found is, as well as still linking into wonderful organisations, which we do, we were able to create our own stuff. We were able to create our own things. So what started off as these tiny little breadcrumbs, started to be able to keep it in-house and make our own stuff. So yeah, that's how the two worlds collided. Wow. It's mad, really. It
is mad, isn't
it?
it?
And interestingly, John and Carl have since stepped away.
Okay.
They were acrimoniously have since stepped away with their own lives and up there, so it's now fully my baby. Yeah. And I still talk with them and check in and like what are their thoughts, but yeah, the buck stops with me now, and yeah, it's a wonderful legacy, and I always feel really grateful to be able to carry on Matt's name. I really do. And there's some cool little stories of songs that have been released, and Paramore have done playlists for us, and Frank Turner, Biffy Clyro, Blur, Fratellis. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
Wow. I mean,
we're doing a Portsmouth Christmas one actually.
Oh really?
Yeah. Being released 12 Days of Christmas. So
is it? Do we know who's going to be in it?
I do. Yeah.
Can it be disclosed?
So it's what I wanted to do for this one was local businesses in Southsea.
Okay, cool.
So we've got lots of different businesses, people that have submitted one song, a little bit of blurb and a picture, and we're going to do the 12 Days of Christmas with Southsea community. It's a nice little touch.
Oh, lovely. And that's big up for actually doing that for a whole time happening, you know. And
it's important.
Yeah, no, I find it fascinating. I mean, we said off camera as well that, and you said it, you hinted to it that, you know, you're just going with the flow. You might not do this forever. Yeah. But why? I mean, I know you're going with the flow, but what's drawn you to think, you know what, I might not do this forever?
Still as passionate as ever. I still love it. I still have the best job in the world. I'm keen to explore other things. I think that. So I'm a teacher by default, really. So I don't do one-to-one work anymore as such. I don't do one-to-one sessions. Ideally, where I'm at my best, and part of why we stopped being a charity is I can have more impact when people, companies, organisations book me, and I'm going to spend a day or 2 days with 16 to 20 people and change the way they see the world. You know, it sounds big, but you know, if you do your job right, you really can. And that could take a lot out of you. It can be quite tiring to be constantly on, and one of the biggest things I've had to learn is my self-care, which probably I've only started mastering in the last couple of years, about, you know, how important it is that if I don't look after myself, I can't look after other people. And I think what we kind of alluded to is a bit sad in a way, is that I'm finding more and more when I first started working here, people's understanding of mental health was very minimal. And now everyone's talking about mental health, which is fantastic. But sadly, I find that so much of it's incorrect. And I always joke that the mental health's the Wild West. Like, there's no regulation, there's no rules, and there isn't. It's not regulated, so anyone can say anything they want, and there's never going to be any comeback. And what I guess kind of upsets me, if I'm honest, is it's like climbing Everest in flip-flops. Because you can invest in factual, knowledgeable, really, really crucial, evidence-based guidance. And then someone with 80,000 followers will pop out of a glossy image saying 20 men die in the UK every day. 20 men don't die in the UK every day. Never have. It won't. But so many people will see that and be like, oh my God. And what it does is just drives this difference. And that's just one example. And people saying this. And what we have is this world where everyone's talking about mental health, but not always factually. And then we're trying to help other people or guide other people from what we've learned off of TikTok. And so I guess I just feel a little bit like, I'll be honest, it takes its toll. It becomes a bit hard to look at so much misinformation and not take it personally and not be like, you know, and I just love the idea that there's more for me. I don't know what, and I'll always be involved in mental health. I'll always be, I think, connected with well-being and mental health and trying to guide people on what I've learned. And I love learning new things from other people. But yeah, I kind of feel like there's something else. I don't know what. It won't be insurance. I won't be wearing a suit. But like, I want to live. I like life. I like to live. And I think I'm blessed to be able to say that I live. You know, life's tough. I still have bills and stuff that you got. Who doesn't? But yeah, I'm excited. Nothing's on the horizon yet. This is what I do. This is what I love doing. It's what I want to keep doing. But yeah, something inside of me says this won't be my forever. There'll be new things.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, it takes guts as well to say that, I think. Because some people say, this is me, this is my calling, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And so yeah, hats off to that. I mean,
there's a part of my life I thought insurance was my life.
Oh, wow.
I clearly remember thinking this is it now. This is it for life. And I remember feeling quite closed off with that thought. And I think maybe from that I'm like, I don't know where life's going to go. But if it feels right, I'm going to explore it and I'm going to enjoy it as best as I can. Yeah.
I mean, you alluded to earlier that you've got a great supportive network.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, you know, you deal with a lot of people's trauma. You deal with a lot of. So who do you check in with?
My kids are good. My kids are really good. There's lots of things in my life that help. Loved ones. You know, it's really beautiful when you can be yourself away from well-being. You know, there's so many things. I think I was going to allude to this earlier, but I lost my train of thought about it. Sorry, but especially men, where men are resistant to learn about mental health because they think they're going to change. And I always said, well, I'm no different now to who I was. I still go travelling, I still drink, I still socialise, I still have fun, I still party. But learning about mental health hasn't changed who I am. It's made me more aware of who I am. And that's the big difference. I'm more aware of why I feel the way I feel and early warning signs. And that's the thing that I always try and say about, you know, I do stuff with construction companies here in Portsmouth and other areas, and it's like, you're not going to come to this and suddenly be, you know, plaiting hair and doing knitting at home and watching Bake Off or whatever. I don't know, that's really stereotypical, but do you know what I mean? That's like, what do you think? So yeah, checking in with loved ones who allow me to be me, who allow me to be who I've always been and not have to hide that and not have to be conscious of, you know, what I say, what I do. I like genuine people, and when I'm able to be genuine, I really relax. And yeah, it's big. And my kids allow me to do that, you know. My kids allow me to be me. Yeah. So yeah, they're really good for me.
That's good. That is good. So, I mean, you've made some bold decisions. You've done a whole career change. You've done what's best for you.
Yeah.
But to someone who is in a rut, someone who is in a job that they hate, what's your message to them?
Well, I mean, it's these things of understanding that life is always going to take cash out of your bank, right? And you can't change that. Like I said, I like sit and say, life is lovely. It's because I understand that any given day, cash is coming out, cash is coming in. And I think there's a big sense that if more people can be educated about what mental health is, it's top trump, it's king card. As being a human being, nothing is bigger than mental health. Yet so many people don't think about it. So being in a job that you don't like or being in a rut, what we tend to try and do is catapult ourselves into happiness, and I think this is where a lot of the times we fall down, because we go, well, if I change my job, my life will be so much better. If I get a new partner, my life will soon be something. If I get rid of that partner, my life will be so much better. If I win the lottery, my life's going to change, because we see these things as being what catapults us. But you're still going to have things take cash out of your bank mentally. You're still going to have things that cause you issues. And it's kind of about, I spoke about this yesterday with a student who I sat with. It's a guy called Dr. Robert Holden, okay? And he's an expert in happiness.
Okay.
What a gig, right? And I first came across Dr. Robert Holden when I was still in insurance. And I have these little books that I've always used. And when I saw this thing from Dr. Robert Holden, I drew it in my workbook, and it's in my workbook at home still. I've still got it like all these years on, and I still look at it, and it's like this circle of happiness. Okay, it says what makes a human being happy, and it's split into 3 different categories, and my percentages are going to be off here, but the smallest thing that makes a person happy, about 11%, which contributes towards being a happy individual, is like your DNA, your genetics. Okay, about 11%. The next part is about 33% of what makes a human being happy, and this is short-term gains, changing jobs, money, purchases, the things that we all chase. The things that we all chase because we think it will make us happy. That's about 33%. The remaining 60% of what makes a person happy is small acts of intention, kindness, interactions, being with people, all the little cash-ins that we link back to. And this is the thing that most people spend so little time on. You know, and this is all based around, and I remember looking at that and being like, for the last 30 years, I've been chasing that 33% and wondering why it's not making any difference. And I find it really hard sometimes when I talk to people, because there is no quick fix with mental health. I'm 9 years in, and I've got a whole life of learning still ahead, but we have this thing where we're like, well, if I can I just change that and my life will be better? And it's kind of saying, mental health is about understanding all these small fractions. It won't change overnight, and it is like climbing Everest in flip-flop. But okay, if you want to change your job, change your job. Not because you think it will change your life, but because you think it's time to change. You know, you want to buy a car, well, buy a car. Not because you think it's going to make you more attractive or it's going to make you look more successful, it's going to make you happy, but because you need that car. Now, I still buy lovely things, but not because I think it's going to make me happy. And I really always repair people back to this will, and it's about looking at it and going, the biggest proportion of what makes a human being happy is all in our control. Yeah, sprinkle in those other ones, the DNA and the purchases, but yeah, so for people who want to change job, but are you doing it for the right reason? If you're in a rut, when people are in a rut, when people are really, really finding things tough, come back to that question. What am I doing that influences how I think, feel and behave? I said right at the start about what we're wearing, okay? As I always love telling this story. I think this is a really interesting one. So, mental health is with the person from the day they're born. But let's pretend it starts this morning when your alarm goes off, okay? Let's pretend that that's the first moment of mental health. So we're laying in bed and the alarm goes off. Now, people that have still got the old school alarm, that you've got to change it, because that's one of the first things that is coming into your mind. This will influence how you think and how you feel, yeah? So it's coming in. Now, I lay in bed and my alarm goes off, and one of the things I always do, and I can't say it too loud because she's here, but I ask that little device that ends in Exa, right? With eyes are still shut, and I say, play greatest hits radio. I'm a sucker for old school music, and what that means is I'm laying there, I'll get a bit of George Michael, Barry White, Cyndi Lauper, right? It might not be that I'll listen to all day, but those first moments is just that feel good. And this is feeding into how I think and how I feel. This is coming into my system. I love coffee. So then I've got to get out of bed. That first cup of coffee is always that battle. I need coffee, but I don't want to. I go downstairs, is my house cold? So am I jogging on the spot? These moments we don't think about, they're feeding in. Is the sunlight coming through the window? Did I forget to boil the kettle the night before? Oh man, I forgot to do that. All of these moments we take for granted are influencing how I think and how I feel. Go back upstairs. Are my children up? Are they in the shower? Am I having a shout at them? Am I thinking, you know? I get in the shower, I come out, and then I've got a decision to make. What am I going to wear? And we take this for granted as human beings. We're like those little fairies that just go, oh. But what I'm going to wear is dictated by all of those little events. Yeah, there might be parts about what have I got on that day, but what am I going to wear? Based upon how I'm thinking and how I'm feeling, I've got a decision to make. I wear white t-shirts too much because I don't have to think. It's a white t-shirt. And what I always say to people is, it's easy, but every person's got something in their wardrobe that's a little bit spicy.
True.
Yeah? Now, you got to be in the mood to put that on. Not necessarily to wear it, but to get comments, to get interactions during the day, to get feedback of it. Now, you see, and this is what mental health is, because if you're not in the mood to have someone comment on your leopard print jumper, you ain't going to wear it. But when you're feeling good, when you're like, oh, I'm in a good mood today, yeah, it's a good jumper, isn't it? What we wear, what we put on our body, how we interact, this is what mental health is. And we don't even think about it. You know, I very nearly wore a very different t-shirt today, and I thought, no, I'm not going to keep it simple. But this is the key thing. So when you're talking to someone that are in ruts, I always try and say, look, let's strip it all the way back. Let's strip it all the way back to these basic things. What is influencing how you think and how you feel on a granular level? Yes, we got this big thing, this big boss that's winding you up, but that's there for the moment. But how can we change all these little things on a daily basis? And of course, people are like, oh, that won't make a difference. It does. It does. But that's where you got to start. That would be where I'd start talking to them, yeah. Maybe. Cashing in. It's the benefit of all of it.
Yeah, big. So, that's very interesting. I mean, we've gone there today. And thank you for opening up on that. It's been...
Pleasure.
Yeah, it's even gave me insight. I'm like, oh my God, I'm reflecting on myself. And I'm like, oh, wow. And yeah, like I remember that concept. I think it's really easy to understand instead of the big terminology and all the rest of it. But hell yeah! So cool. So we are hummingbirds. What you're doing currently? We don't know what's coming in the future. But what are we to expect with We Are Hummingbird?
So I do much more in the community now. So I'm from Portsmouth. Went to school in Portsmouth. It's scattering of Portsmouth and Gosport, but I went to school in Southsea, and for many years I kind of didn't do too much in Portsmouth for various reasons. I kind of actively, maybe for a period of time, was like keeping work and home separate in a strange way. Obviously done the festivals over the years and had stands there, but recently one of the things I'm really thinking is because I can look after companies all over the country, and I do a lot in Spain as well. I look after organisations in Ibiza, and I wanted to do more in the community. I wanted to network more with my friends and people around and do stuff. So lots more community-based stuff. So last week did some amazing stuff with Southsea Play Cafe and some mums to do some, and dads or parents, grandparents, to do a guided meditation with them. I'm a meditation teacher as well. I forget that, yeah. So to do some meditation, and then we did a little bit of a talk around what that looks like. There's some other organisations that we're trying to do pop-ups at. Think about what I said about your mental health dictates what you wear. There's some very cool clothes shops around here that have really cool items of clothing in them. So we want to try and do some playful things about, when people purchase those clothes, it's coming from a place of mental health. So we're trying to just find these new avenues that we can help people learn about mental health. Because that's the key. I want to position We Are Hummingbird in places where people aren't expecting to talk about mental health. Because that's how you change the dial. That's how you change things. Doing talks to people that have come for a mental health talk, they're already invested. You want to talk to people that are like, I don't need to learn about mental health. And then they're like, oh, actually, I get that. So, yeah, lots more stuff in the community. We did a big event with the guys at Porter Sauna as well on Mental Health Day, which was a fantastic, and we set up a load of saunas. We Selfsea Beach Cafe and Selfsea Sauna got involved as well. We had over 100 people just come down, and it was nothing more than just come and have a sauna.
Nice.
You know, just come and have a sauna, and if you have a chit chat, then cracking job. So yeah, little fun things like that is the next kind of things for us. Still loads of music stuff. Still loads of. So we still work heavily. I mentioned there in Ibiza. So for the last 5 years, I look after some clubs in Ibiza. Oh, wow. So they employ me to go out. So in the summer months, I fly out every month and support their staff. So people who wouldn't necessarily have exposure to mental health conversations. Yeah, so we do that. So coming into the 5th or 6th year now in 2016. 2026 will be our 5th or 6th year. So. Oh, wow. Yeah. So I get a good suntan as well throughout the summer.
Love it.
But again, it's just finding those pockets of demographics where like I said, it comes back to that word tribe. You know, helping people who don't necessarily relate to certain organisations to see there's other options available.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, lots of good stuff.
Really am. And well, Ian, that brings us to a lovely close on that.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me rabbit on.
Not
One of my favourite things.
It's been amazing. It's been amazing. Not rabbit. It's always been great. It's all been gold. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. Perfect. And we'll be watching closely.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Love it, man.
Thank you.
Cool. Blessings.
Love it. Thank you.
All right. Anyway, so Ian, welcome to part 2.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. And it's cool. In this part, we go out into the street and we ask a question.
Yes.
We never actually disclose the question. It's part of the fun. So we're about to find out now. Feel free to stop at any time. Feel free to watch it to the end.
Okay.
I think it's 2.5 minutes.
What works best for you? Watch your way through it and comment, or
whatever you feel.
All right. Okay.
And without further ado, let's get into part 2.
Okay.
Do you know what the mental health crisis is?
Yeah.
Vaguely, I feel like I've heard of it.
Do you want to explain?
I mean, it's just like statistically, a lot of people aren't doing very well, and a lot of it's men.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing.
I mean, it's quite a broad question. Yeah.
Would you say there's been like a spike since COVID, or?
I feel like,
Yeah.
As far as I've heard, I think so. Yeah.
Do you know what the mental health crisis is?
I certainly do. I'm a chief ambassador for the Burnt Chef Project. Actually, people forget about what we do behind the lines. People coming to work, obviously coming to restaurants, hotels, and all they're worried about is getting their food, getting drinks, and they forget about the times that people, they forget about family time. We do I've been a chef 34 years, 18 years head chef. I've missed birthdays, Christmases, wedding anniversaries, parties, 'cause I've been doing 15, 16, 17 hour days. When you're a head chef, you get forgotten about.
Not really.
Do you know what the mental health crisis is?
I do. I am under mental health myself.
Okay, interesting. Do you mind sharing why it's important to make sure that you're mentally stable?
It's important because it's part of your well-being, and I think the most important thing is to take little bits out of your day, do things that you like, and that is what's key.
Do you know what the mental health crisis is?
Yes, mental health crisis is like someone who actually helps you with mental health crisis. I'm going through a mental health crisis myself. Got a doctor, they help me out and give me medication. So mental health crisis is not a nice thing to have, but it's nice for people to help each other out.
Do you know what the mental health crisis is?
I don't know.
Do you know what the mental health crisis is?
No, not really.
Yeah, it's just something we know about social media, mental health, depression, withdrawal.
We know about mental health, but what do you mean by mental health
crisis?
Cool.
Yeah, love that.
What are your thoughts?
I've got so many thoughts. I think it highlights how the term mental health is interpreted differently by so many different people. You know, some people there were talking about what a mental illness is. So mental health, mental illness are different things, not the same things. We tend to put everything under mental health. And that's, again, through this education, through society. You say the words mental health and you'll say depression, or say anxiety, or say, well, they're mental illnesses, you know, and they're different things. Really interesting talking about that the guy, the chef there. And all the factors that we don't see that take cash out of a person's bank, you know, high pressure, long hours, all these things. And this goes right back to what we're saying about, you know, you're losing birthdays, you're losing weekends, you're having more cash come out than you put in. So yeah, I found it really interesting. I'd love to, I really enjoyed the people that were like, what do you mean by that? Because that to me, like, yes, well done you. Ask that question, what do you mean by mental health? Because I think it's really key to be curious, and I'd love just to be educating everyone. Like, there's a difference between mental health and mental illnesses. Yeah, there was so much to take from that. It's what did you mean it to be?
So, at the end, when she actually said, "What did you mean by that?" I was just sort of prodding. I was just sort of, I wanted to find out what people would say. So, yeah, the fact that people do have many different definitions of what mental health is, that's what I was sort of aiming for. So, yeah, for me, that I was open book. I was like, you know, really honest. I'm not trying to, you know, give knowledge. I'm trying to find out.
It just highlights to me these levels of, everyone's got a different take on what those three words meant: mental health crisis. And what that means, with everyone's slightly different take on those three words, we can't be a collective force for change. You can't be. If everyone interprets something differently, it takes someone to say, right, ladies and gents, at the age of 4, today you're going to learn that mental health is how you think, feel and behave. Okay. What do you think of the how you think crisis? Right? Right? And crisis, definition of crisis is something's happening right now. The proverbial is hit the fan. That's a crisis. So a crisis is something is happening. So again, those words of mental health, how we think, feel and behave right now, you know, is a big context. It's hard to comment. Someone mentioned males.
Yeah, I know we touched on that.
Yeah, we touched on that off the camera, and I think, you know, there's what you often find as well is slogans or campaigns that are created for certain activities then bleed into other areas. So men don't tend to talk much about their mental health, absolutely, for many reasons. But quite a lot of women don't either. You know, quite a lot of women don't talk about how they think, feel and behave. So, yeah, interesting to see the male side mentioned there. A real tricky one for me to comment on all of that. I've got so many thoughts. I don't know how deep to go into it, but interesting to see. Tough one that for me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because you got so many, like, bring it off, right?
I've always wanted to go into full teacher mode. But even the individuals that were like, I'm under care at the moment, you know, their understanding of what mental health is maybe, you know, different. But I love that guy that said, you know, it's the little things every day. And I kept coming back to it, you know, the little things every day. We're talking about the bank account, the little things, the pennies look after the pounds, the pennies look after the pounds. And people lose sight of that. But those little things every day. We talked about COVID. Well, COVID, again, I was talking about this to someone yesterday. The reason why we saw such a decline in COVID, go right back to what we said at the start. Human beings will naturally attach motion in a good way to things that involve family, friends, events, situations, purchases, right? Well, during COVID, all those things were taken away. So as well as all the little things being taken away that people generally miss, all the things that we rely on for most people, all of a sudden was gone. The 5 ways of wellbeing, gone. So it's no surprise that when people can't even then cash in on the big things, they're going to start spiraling. And it kind of, when you learn the principles, that makes sense. That makes sense why during lockdown, so many people were so far in their mental health debt. There was just no cash coming in. So, yeah. In an ideal world, I'd love to see fundamental change where we are taught as kids about factually understanding what mental health is, what stress is, what anxiety is, what the difference is between those and mental illnesses, how they connect, how they interplay with each other. For me, that is where change needs to be. I get asked this all the time. What do you do? How do we change this mental health crisis? And my answer, and this is very much my answer, is campaigns are wonderful. Campaigns are needed and they are necessary and they do amazing things. But education is just as important. If we continually had car crashes, we wouldn't just have people standing up, raising money, saying it's awful that we've had these many car crashes. We'd say, should we teach people to drive? And that is very much my opinion, and I'm not saying we don't carry on investing in campaigns, we absolutely do, but I'm saying really it needs to be a bit of a shift of, half of the money, campaigns, all these things to support people, but the other half has to go into educating. Otherwise, we will all continue on this journey we're on, where we put a plaster on the gunshot wound. It's got to start with education. And we might have a rough ride for 50 years as all those 4-year-olds make their way through, but they will then pass it down to their kids. And if we start to change this tide, that's, in my personal opinion, so controversial, my personal opinion, where I see change coming.
Education. That's a cool question.
Yeah, can do.
If you were to pick between these two, one, educate people on mental health, or two, have a good time with that person, which
good time in what way, sorry?
Like, you're gonna just have a lovely, you're gonna go do something fun and have a great experience, like just something that's gonna bring joy into their life. Of course, you could do both simultaneously while you're having fun.
Yeah.
But if you had to pick, because I was just, which one would you feel
education
you would lean into, the educating them on health, then
and then say, now go and have fun.
With
what you've learned.
Right.
But I think this is the thing, and it does get quite. I'm always very conscious when I talk about this because everyone has their own views, and everyone's when we talk, respecting other people's views is really important. Doesn't mean you agree with them. So there'll be people listening to this that don't agree with what I'm saying, and I respect other people's. But especially people that are maybe have been affected, and campaigns are wonderful support networks, but nothing changes. Campaigns are hugely important. They raise awareness, but they'll only raise awareness if there is a follow-on outcome, if there is education and support. I speak to people who have lost loved ones and they come on suicide awareness courses with me and they go, I wish I'd done this course before. And this is the sad thing, most of the people who come on suicide prevention courses with me are people that have already lost someone. And they all leave going, why are we not teaching people about this before the tragedy happened? So I think, for me, and I trained our existing government recently, and their questions, I had to bite my tongue a lot, and it was like, why are we not doing more of this? And I was like, this is you guys, you tell me, because it's, I think a lot of people assume that someone else has got this sorted, education with qualified individuals to deliver it, not people that, because the world of mental health is a bit like this now. There's enough people that are qualified and educated to teach this that you shouldn't be needing to get someone to do it in their spare time. You wouldn't get someone to do an extension on your house that has a full-time job as an accountant and just does a bit of DIY. You'd get a builder in. You know, and it's about saying, okay, now's the time where we get educated people to teach us factually and correctly, and we learn about this, and we start to, over a period of 10, 20, 30 years, bit by bit, start to see it change. That is my view. That's my belief and my thought process on what needs to be done. But it's hard. Any legacy system.
It's always hard.
Always hard to change legacy systems. So, there we go.
There we go.
You can keep that or not. A bit ranty.
That's good. But
Thank you, yeah.
There we go. I mean, any closing thoughts?
No, really, really interesting. I think it sums up beautifully that, like I said, we've all got this different idea, and what that does is it makes it very hard for us to have a uniformed approach in making change. So, yeah. Thank you.
It's been great. Well, Ian, there we go.
Thank you.
That's the question. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed today.
I did. Thank you for having me. I'm really, really buzzing from it. Thank you.
Pleasure. And yeah, again, looking forward to see what happens next.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Legend.
Thank you.